Hello and welcome to FantasyInsiders.com. This is Mr. Tuttle05 bringing you another installment of the All Scrubs edition for Week 11 in the NFL. My first scrub that I have listed this week is Ryan Tannehill. As you can see, he is priced at $10,466 on DraftStreet. I like Tannehill this week for a couple different reasons, both for the opportunity that he should receive as well as the opponent that he'll be facing. The Dolphins do face off against the San Diego Chargers this week. They are one of the weaker secondaries in the league, and Tannehill should get the opportunity to throw quite a bit against the Chargers. Two of the last three games, Tannehill has dropped back 42 different times to pass. This is basically due to the fact that the Dolphins really don't have much of a running game at all. Lamar Miller had high hopes coming into the season, but he's been extremely underwhelming. And as we all know, we can't really rely on Daniel Thomas to provide any sort of consistency on a week-by-week basis for the Dolphins. So if this week goes anywhere near like the last couple weeks have been, you'll see Tannehill dropping back to pass quite a few times, which is great for the opponent that they're playing against. The next scrub is extremely similar to Tannehill's situation. That would be Joe Flacco, who is priced at $10,369. Flacco, just like Tannehill, is on a team who has been extremely underwhelming running the ball so far this year. I think this week you'll actually see a little bit of an offensive breakout from the Ravens, who have overall as an offense been underwhelming. They're going up against the Chicago Bears, who have been bad against, who actually have had a bad defense so far this year, but they even got worse last week when they had to send Tillman to the IR. So you're going to get a quarterback who has been getting quite a bit of opportunities throwing the ball against a below-average Bears defense. So I think Flacco provides actually a pretty decent value this week on DraftStreet. Heading on over to running back, the first guy that I like is Brian Leonard for a mere $4,723. Leonard is expected to be the main back this week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he gets to take that role against a bad rush defense in the Atlanta Falcons. In Week 10, when Leonard took over for an injured Mike James, he saw 22 touches. If you see anything like that in Week 11, if he gets anywhere near those touches in Week 11, he's going to provide instant value for his measly price tag this week. I actually think he's as close to a must-play as that you're going to get this week on any of the sites. The next running back is a little off the board here. But I actually do kind of like Bernard Pierce this week for $4,409. When I was talking about Flacco, I kind of mentioned or alluded to the fact that I think the Ravens will have a bit of an offensive breakout this week. And I think Pierce has the potential to be the beneficiary of some of that, some of those touchdowns and some of those fantasy points. The Bears have been atrocious against the run this year, and I'm expecting Pierce to see a little bit of an increase in workload this week. Coach Harbaugh did come out a little earlier in the week saying that Rice has been running injured and that he'll finally go with the hot hand approach at the running back position. I guess you should be a little cautious. Sometimes this coaches use this approach just to light a fire under the primary running back. But if there's any truth to what Harbaugh is saying, you could see Pierce getting close to 15 carries here this week against a really bad Bears rush defense. Last week, Pierce saw about 10 touches, and I think if he even just gets 10 touches this week, that he'll provide value for you on DraftStreet. I think there's a decent shot that he finds the end zone this week against a bad run defense. And again, if you even see 10 touches, I think he hits value, but I'm expecting a little closer to 15 touches from Bernard Pierce this week. Heading on over to wide receiver is Andre Roberts. Roberts is the guy that I touched on in my other video this week, and this is a play based on Michael Floyd. If Michael Floyd is going, then I don't like Andre Roberts nearly as much. At this point in the week, it sounds like Michael Floyd will be a game time decision, so it's going to be something you want to monitor throughout the week. But in Floyd's absence in Week 10, Roberts did see 8 targets. He had 5 receptions on those 8 targets for 72 yards and a score. I think those numbers are not a floor, but I think you're going to see pretty close to those numbers this week. Maybe not. You may not get the score, but even if you get those 5 catches for 72 yards, you're in good position for what you're paying for Andre Roberts on DraftStreet. The second receiver is Rashard Matthews. Rashard Matthews won the Where on Earth Did You Come From award in Week 10. He had a breakout week where he just put up absolutely monster numbers. And as I kind of discussed under Tannehill, the Dolphins really do lack a running game. I expect them to get a decent amount of opportunity throwing the ball this week, and Matthews really could be one of the beneficiaries of that. I guess we shouldn't really be too surprised that Matthews put up a solid week in Week 10, because really Tannehill has looked to his number 3 receiver all year long. Brandon Gibson was putting up some really solid numbers before his injury, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see if Matthews isn't just a one-week wonder, but if he actually provides some value the rest of the way here this season. Because like I said, Tannehill really has been looking to that number 3 wide receiver pretty frequently throughout the year. Heading on over to the tight end position, I'm going to be looking at a guy for $3,474 that's returning from suspension this week. That would be Kellen Winslow. I should say that the Bills have been actually very good against the tight end this year, so you're going to obviously want to proceed with a little bit of caution. But I do think Winslow provides a fairly decent floor for his price. Geno Smith should look his way at least a couple times here in Week 11. And like I said, it's not necessarily a very intriguing option, but I think it's a fairly safe option for what you're paying for Winslow on DraftStreet. The next guy I actually like quite a bit more than Kellen Winslow, and he's priced less than Kellen Winslow. That would be Mercedes Lewis. He's $3,412 this week on DraftStreet. I think if you're not going to spend on Jimmy Graham or Rob Gronkowski this week at tight end, I think Mercedes is the guy that you're going to want to own on DraftStreet. With the absence of Justin Blackmon in Week 10, you saw Lewis get an increased target. He got 6 targets last week, which isn't, amazing, but it's certainly an increase from what he was seeing in the beginning of the season. On those 6 targets, he converted on 3 of those receptions, or he converted for 3 receptions for 39 yards. He's going up against the Arizona Cardinals, who have been allowing the most fantasy points to tight end so far this year. They did step up and defend Garrett Graham pretty good in Week 10, but I really think Mercedes Lewis provides extremely good value for his price on DraftStreet this week. That's going to do it, though, for the All Scrubs edition for Week 11 in the NFL. Thanks for your time, and good luck this weekend.